how do I live my life like continuously like thinking and understanding and evolving. So like with
I
that,
don't know, live like real punk. Just
wait, what did you say?
Can I be actual punk?
Yeah, actual punk, like Avril Lavigne said.
Is everyone good to go? Can I get some thumbs up?
Mhm.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. This is actually the very second full band podcast. So I got Playtime with me. We got lots of different little Brady Bunch boxes here. And I'm super excited to be chatting with them, talking about a new EP that they just put out. So first off, let me say thank you and welcome to everyone in the band.
Word. Appreciate
Hi.
it. What's up?
So this is gonna be a little messy as far as, because I think the layout as far as where everyone is a little different for everyone. So I just want to get some intros of everyone's names, what they do in the band. So this, like for me, the layout is different. But Obi, maybe we'll just start with you, and then we'll just see who naturally goes second and third and so on.
My name's Obi. I like sing, yell, and I sweat, and I call people. That's about it.
Who's next?
I'm Ross.
Yeah.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, you go.
You're good.
All right, yeah. I'm Ross. I play drums. I do vocals, like sometimes on records, but just drums. 90% drums.
90% drums.
I'm Menon. I play guitar in the band. Rhythm guitar. That's me.
Nice. Okay. Got two more folks left.
Yeah.
All right, I'm Mickey. I play the bass and I hop around.
Hop around.
Hop around.
Sick. And then last but not least,
Travis. I play guitar. Yeah.
lead guitar.
Yeah, lead guitar.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, that's everyone. The band, like I mentioned before, is called Playtime. I feel like I owe most of you guys an apology, because how this podcast actually spawned was when I was interviewing Brianna from Buggin'. We were talking about your band, and I was like, oh, they're not on Spotify, but I didn't add the extra Y in Playtime when I was searching for you guys. So, you know, I'm glad that Obi reached out. He's like, yo, we're actually on Spotify. And then this sparked that this podcast. Just off the band name, I know like hardcore bands like to throw in, you know, V's instead of A's, or like throw in random numbers. But was there a specific reason why you guys wanted to have two Y's and just have Playtime be, you know, one word essentially?
Great question.
Yeah. Okay. I remember specifically why we did that, and so we were trying to come up with a name, and I remember Travis specifically saying, because we were writing like some different sounding songs, so we were like, all right, we're gonna go this route. We gotta name this shit something sweet. So we were trying to think of like a name, like a name in that realm, and I came up with like play. I like added the extra Y for no reason, but we found out that there was a rapper from Atlanta named One Play, and yeah, and I was like, at first I didn't care because I was like, oh, I don't know him, so it's probably like not a big deal. Then like I looked him up, and he has a song on the radio that I've definitely heard like hella times. So, and you know what's crazy?
He was popping. We didn't think
He's
he was
popping. Yeah.
By
the way, have you heard like any other song by him? Like I don't think I've heard of him like since then. I remember he had that one song that was really big.
I saw him perform with a Young Nude last year. Like,
no way, for real?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh shit.
It was definitely around the time where he had a song on the radio. It was like, oh, we gotta switch it up. Like, yeah, he's not. I don't think that's popping now, but
Think his
at
song
the
was
time he was popping. He was popping.
Shout out One Play though, but but I think we were going with Play with 2 Ys for a while, and the first show we ever played, we were on the flyer at first as Play, and then like when I found out like the other guy who had the name, that's when we like I think I hit him up in the group chat. I was like, yo, let's just change it and let's just add time. And like, okay, Playtime sounds cool. And then I hit up the dude like that made the flyer like an hour after he posted. I was like, yo, we changed our name.
Yo, I know you just posted this, but you got to bring that back into Photoshop and add 4 more letters.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of funny just because, like, I know so many bands that had, like, longer names and then they would drop certain words and just really have it really short. But you guys kind of went the opposite route and just added a word to make sure it was separate from that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So as far as the origins of the band, you guys, can you kind of bring me up to speed on like how and why of this group coming together, and then we can kind of transition into the new record and the influences around that.
Word.
I feel like. Wait, were you gonna say something, Ross?
Nah, go ahead, bro.
I feel like probably like 3 years ago, or maybe like the idea kind of started like a long time ago, because like we would always be like pulling up to hardcore shows like whenever I was still in high school and shit, and I would see Obi and I would meet Ross like years later and Mickey and everybody like at shows, and we would always kind of talk about the idea of just like having like literally like a heavy ass band that was like just heavy as fuck, with just like all of us and just all of us being black, and it'd be like definitely like I feel like the band is like more reactionary like to like the current point like in hardcore, or like even the current point, like even the point like 3-4 years ago was supposed to was more like something that was supposed to be for us. Like we were just gonna like, because obviously like you don't see like representation like in like the punk scene of like like black people. It's just like usually like the same kind of like people you see. So we're just like, we're gonna do this thing that's gonna be like for us, like how we want it to sound. If we want it to sound stupid, we'll make it sound stupid, like not along the lines of like what like hardcore music is like emulated to be like in the scene. So I think it really just came down to like we're just gonna like we're all homies, like we're just gonna try and make this thing cool like for us.
Ross, did you have something on there that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just saying, going to shows with the homies and just meeting Trav, Obi, just coming back into hardcore and just being like, all right, the first time I was kind of into it, I was just in a different town. It was just kind of a mainly white scene. And I was like, if I'm gonna come back into the shit, I wanted to have, just friends that are just not black, but just people of color, queer, just a different, more mesh. And so when I met these people, it was just like, either all of us were doing different musical projects at the time, or we're just friends and just being at each other's practices. Or I just remember going on tour when Trav toured with like Pay to Come, and I wasn't really playing in a band at the time. I just like being on the road. I was like, yo, we should do this with our black friends. That was my main inspiration.
And that's been something that's been eye-opening to me with some of these, I guess, recent podcasts where I'm trying to, really highlight and amplify the black voices in the punk and hardcore community, is that, even though there's probably a number of bands that maybe have like a bass player or a drummer or a front person who is black, there is a different vibe there where you're in the practice space and everyone in the room is black. And I know when I did my podcast with Anaya, obviously he started a power violence band called Zulu that kind of is that same way, but he shouted you guys
Yeah,
out
that's the
as far
homie.
as
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
homie.
shout out to Naya. Yeah.
Big up, big up.
yeah. So
For sure.
you know, like what like can anyone else, I guess, add to that? Just like the vibe being just different when it's like you guys have like you can all relate to the same struggles and upbringings and things like that that kind of bleed into the music as well.
I feel like we all relate to the being tokenized in the hardcore community. Like we all like felt comfortable talking to each other about what was weird about it, and like just like but like we all still wanted to be a part of it. So like in order to comfortably be a part of it, we were like, why not like make our own space essentially, you know? And I mean that goes, yeah, like kind of bouncing off of what Ross was saying, it's not even just about being Black. It's like it's also like the perpetuating like the heteronormative culture of that hardcore can be sometimes, where it's not just Blackness but queerness and like being cis, like just being having like um not that hardcore doesn't want that, but just emulating what we actually feel and like having that representation.
Yeah, and yeah, like for me, well, to start out, this is my first like band that's ever like really like done anything, but I've definitely been in like other bands that didn't really go nowhere. But like I don't know, for me, it's always my experience like playing in bands and shit has always been like I was the I was the one Black person. So
Yeah.
I remember specifically like the day Travis hit me up was like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this thing." Like, I thought it was like it was cool to me because it was just like, okay, yeah, this is something I've never like gotten to experience, and also I think it's cool because like it's not something it's really like few and far between, and not that there's definitely like a lot of like all Black bands and shit like that, but when it comes to like hardcore specifically, it's just not something that I see a lot. Like when it comes like actual like hardcore kids are just like are just kind of having fun with their friends type shit. Like it seems to be like kind of spread like between within other scenes. So I think it's just something that like we all were very like interested in just we all it's just something basically like I think it's something that we all wanted to see, so we just decided to make it happen. And even like with the way we write our music too, like I feel like I can speak for everyone to say we're just writing the stuff that like we personally want to hear, you know, that we don't really like hear in hardcore. So it's like that's really just that's really the basis of everything what it is. Because I know for me personally, like the way like when it comes down to like how we like present like our you know it's just stuff it's how like I would want to see like a band do, you know what I mean. So that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I think like the theme of like being the change that you want to see in your community is kind of what you guys are getting at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like there's like my hope is that there are more bands that start up that kind of like have that, you know, multi I guess like where a white person is like the minority, because I think of bands that have like Easy Money from Arizona is one of my favorite bands, and like uh Troy is like the only white person in that band and everyone else is of color. So I hope that there's more bands in the future with more Black, Indigenous, or just people of color getting into hardcore and feeling comfortable at those shows and at those festivals, where it just becomes more of a, you know, a balanced environment versus oh, it's just this
Yeah,
sea
facts.
sea of white people.
Yeah.
I feel like the code word is comfortable. You said comfortable. Like once these people feel like, all right, I'll go to Fest when I don't feel like I'll have to link up with the 12 black people at Fest. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll go, like I'll definitely like, so I'll spend more money in the scene or I'll help. Like it's the type of like, damn, I don't know if I can truly invest into this yet. If like the seeds I can invest because it back into me. And it's not a selfish thought. It's just like people, especially people of color, anybody who's been oppressed, just kind of like, what are these scenes really, you know what I'm saying? Who are they really here for? Who's really making money? Where's the money going at the end of the day? And it's just like, it gets hard for those people to be like, all right, I want to go to shows again, or I want to like actually go mosh with people. It's like, are you moshing next to me because like, we're expressing or just like having fun? Or do like you actually want to fuck me up? Because like some of these niggas is like, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, I really can't, I can't even go to metal shows. I can't even like, it's the type of shit that I'm like, I really can't exist in scenes because like I don't know what y'all's values are. So it's like once those people feel comfortable, that's the cold word. But
I never even I didn't even think about it that way where there's like one like I've heard it where I think it was either Anaya or Brianna where on their podcast they were saying that when they first started going to shows their mom was like do you think you're gonna get jumped at this show of just all these white people?
Yeah.
But I never even thought of it on like a moshing side because most of the time it's like you can see your homies and you can jump on them and throw fists and legs and whatnot. But I never even thought that there would be that hesitancy with like I don't know if this person is singling me out to like mosh on me.
And now it's happened to
harder than the
me, and
rest.
that's why it's literally happened to me as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old person, where what I'm saying, dude, 6 foot or whatever, moshing into me really does it to girls. This is nothing really like, really just like violence. You know what I'm saying? But like, why would I tell a young 14-year-old kid to get involved in this, to really come in, have fun, express himself, herself, themselves? Where I really don't know if that shit's like, I'm not trying to say like the pit's a safe space. I'm not trying to get in that conversation, but just literally just come into a space and just like, are these people here? You know what I'm saying? To like protect and shit like that.
And I want to add to that as well. I think that's I think another thing like about us is that we just kind of want to make like bands that look like us, like you said, like make that more so the norm. And I don't want to like, and I understand that like with on most like hardcore bills or whatever, like most bills we play with a bunch of bands, we're probably gonna be like we're probably gonna stick out, just for the because of the way we look. But I think, but I want it to be like, and not that I think that's a bad thing, but like I want to get to a point where that's not the case, and it's like there's just a ton of bands that look like us because I also like it always makes me wonder, like sometimes it's like, are you guys and I'm grateful for like any opportunity we get or something like that, but I always want to like I I want to make sure that it's like we're just because like we're not being like tokenized or like being put into a certain position because of just because we're all black. I like because I really pride ourselves on like the fact that we're like a good band, and I really like believe in like what we do and like believe in the art of it all. You know what I'm saying? So now on top of us, on top of us being black, it's like that's one of the I'm rambling, but like basically what I'm trying to say is I want to make bands that look like us the norm and not have us like and not to where it's like we have to like stick out like a sore thumb all the time, like based on like from an art standpoint, yes, but from like an appearance standpoint, I would rather like I'd rather see more of like what we're doing.
100%.
Yeah. I wanna also go off of what y'all both
Please
said.
do.
But I feel like, I mean, it's essentially what I was saying earlier, but like I feel like the big or I have a lot I'm in we're all kind of in multiple scenes, not just hardcore, but like we're in hardcore, and also I have a lot of friends who are in like different scenes that almost they think of hardcore as like something they don't even want to participate in or get to know. And they don't want to, and it's like these initial hurdles that exist because of like the way it's set up, like with moshing. I mean, there are a lot of my friends who've never been to a hardcore show, and they would specifically get upset and feel like they were being targeted, and then they would be like, I'm not going again. And it's almost like I want to just make it feel like you like get over the initial hurdles that that exist, and um make people make it accessible for everyone,
Yeah.
and not feel so exclusive, because I feel like initially when I started going to shows, it felt really exclusive, and I just pushed past that personally. But not everyone's gonna do that, and I want it to be something that feels like communal, and anyone can actually come, and it's not just being said and actually being like that sentiment is being enacted on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there is a theme in hardcore where like quote unquote everything is attainable. That's been said on this podcast a couple times, but I agree with you that like anybody can like get together, write a 8-song or an 8-minute demo of like a couple songs, throw it at a promoter, and then they get on a show or they set up their own show, whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
the actual community aspect of like recognizing those people and not
Mm-hmm.
letting personal bias get in the way of like you trying to
Yeah.
build a relationship with them, like
Yeah.
because I face that for myself too. Like there are
Right.
people that really fuck with me filming bands and there are people who don't fuck with me filming bands.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay for someone not to like, it's the same thing for you guys. Like you're not
Yeah.
coming on here to be like everyone needs to like playtime. But
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like at least giving the respect of your space in the hardcore
Mm-hmm.
community is the very least. Versus putting
Exactly.
up
Yeah.
barriers for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like it feels like it's more so to make sure everyone gets to give hardcore a chance, but
Mhm.
it's like it's about the music, but it feels like sometimes people's um people's apprehensiveness is not about the music.
Yeah. Most
So
definitely.
it's like
Facts.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a nice maybe question to kind of nicely transition into talking about the new album, The Fun Never Ends. We've talked a lot about like tokenism and I guess like these expectations from people on the outside of the Black community. And maybe Obi, you can answer this best as you're the vocalist of the band. Do you find that there's been any outside pressure because you are someone of color to write about those issues or to write about, the issues of being like queer in our normal society and the struggles that are associated with that? Because when I talked with Brianna, they were saying that, you know, they did their time to talk about that in past projects, and this is like I want to write what I want to write about. I want to write about posers and people in the hardcore scene. So have you faced some of those struggles yourself?
I'm so glad you asked that because that's something I have thought about. Like when writing my lyrics, like especially when we first started the band, it was like, okay, so we only have one song specifically like about that, like basically like about like the struggles I personally face, like being Black in predominantly white spaces, and like the tokenism I faced from people who I used to consider my friends and all that. And that song's Dark Circles, which is on our demo. But as far as like, but that's really like the only song that like where I really addressed that. Like with with the lyrics on the demo, it was really like, I don't know. I was most of those lyrics I'm writing about like stuff that like just like shit I was dealing with at the time, like like anxiety and like feeling I guess I could say like I guess depression as well and shit like that, and just I don't know random shit that I was like dealing with and just being kind of like mad at everything, and it's like it's just a sporadic of topics, you know. But as far as like the social, like writing about like I guess like yeah, when it comes to like, feeling pressure to write about like certain social topics that have to deal with Black people, like feeling like I need to be that voice. No, I don't feel that. At least like not from an outside perspective, and I never put that pressure on myself because for two reasons. One, always gonna just write what comes to me, and if anyone, and I'm really big because the thing is like if anyone ever does try to like put that pressure on me, I'm just gonna tell them to fuck off, like because I, I don't care. Like this is what I'm making what I want to make. Like I don't give a fuck like what what you expect to hear from me. You're gonna take what I give you type shit. But like and so that and like two, I feel like me just existing already, like being like Black and like and taking up space, like that's me that's me basically like addressing it because like I feel like when you especially like in this community like being Black and like existing and putting your art out there for the world to see, like I feel like that in itself is like addressing it and like showing resistance. I feel like that in itself in a way is protest. So like I don't feel pressure to write about it because I already exist. I'm already doing like I'm already doing it because on the fun never ends. I could and that's another thing like with the lyrics on the fun never ends. The themes on that record are very like it's I don't really address that at all because I was really going for a certain theme with that record. I wanted kind of everything to kind of like connect, and the theme I was really trying to like what I was really overall I was trying to express because I was at the time I was dealing with like a lot of bullshit like just like family issues and like I don't know shit that I was personally just feeling at the time, and I was like, and I kind of just it felt like life was just fucking with me and just throwing like bomb after bomb at me. And that was pretty much my reaction to that. And the overall message I was trying to convey is me just kind of like continuing on despite that and like fuck. And I don't mean that on some like, oh, I can get through anything type shit. I don't mean all that shit. I'm talking about like the what I want the way what I'm trying to say is I was like I me like going on out of spite because I truly felt like the world wanted to see me like quit, and so and like life in itself just like was trying to like fucking I don't know like but so that's why I was really trying to like just say like it was a way of like continuing despite certain critics, despite like not despite but to spite them, to spite like whatever's in the way of me like not like whatever's in the way of me like just not have thriving and getting to be like normal, getting to be just exist, like whatever's like in the way of that it's about me saying like oh y'all don't want to y'all don't want to see this, okay well guess what, I'm gonna do it, and just to fuck it just to make you mad. And I don't know if I was like saying that, I don't know if it's about certain people, it could be about life or whatever, but like and that's basically what I was trying to say, just continuing on and just to spite whatever's like the oppositions that are in my way type shit. And it's a very long-winded answer, and I don't know if I was like I was very rambling with that, but
Well, you
That
know,
shit was good.
yeah,
That shit
No,
was-
that was good. Honestly, yeah.
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 The podcast is the best place just to ramble about whatever because most of the
Essentially,
people
like
listening are just going along with it.
yeah, I'm gonna say one more thing about it. Essentially, the entire record is me saying "fuck the ops." Like
Fuck.
that's literally like what the entire record is about. So yeah.
Um, uh, more so speaking on the music side of things, I'll ask Mickey because I haven't heard from him just yet. But like musically, I was like really, I felt like I was taken to so many different places. Like obviously, there's like punk and hardcore influences, but there's like some grunge. There's almost like some garage rock in there as well. So Mickey, do you want to say a piece on maybe some of the influences you guys approached with that newest release going into the studio?
Yeah, I feel like we all love like all different types of genres of music, and it all comes together when we play. Like sometimes, like we'll write something, I'll be like, damn, like we didn't even like. It's crazy the stuff that we come up with because it's like we are like a hardcore band, but I feel like we have influences from like every type of genre. So it's pretty sick. Like I know we're all in different types of bands too. Like Ross DJs, like Travis and like a crazy, I don't even know what type of genre it is, like shoegazy like type
Yeah, it's
band.
kind
Or
of
two.
Yeah,
We're not
Sword.
allowed to call it
or
Yeah,
shoegaze.
they're amazing.
I'm
two.
born.
Shout them
No one's
out.
allowed to call it shoegaze anymore.
Oh, really?
Mix it up.
What do y'all call it?
It's a
Okay.
fusion.
Just music.
Fusion band, fusion of a few different
Fusion
bands.
band.
Yeah.
And then we had like stem lines on when like I feel like we're all over the place. So it comes out anytime we write something, and whenever we like record and then come up with ideas, like we bounce ideas off of each other. I feel like it always comes out like crazy, which is good, which is
Yeah.
what I like.
And honestly, like the diversity of all the different songs was like really refreshing versus just like this song 4 different times, change a couple parts, 2-step
Yeah.
at the beginning
Yeah.
versus at the end. Especially I think I'm just pulling up the actual track, but when like is like something I had never expected to hear on a hardcore record. Almost like a bluesy, jazzy kind of thing to intro the song. At least that was very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Um, who's the main like riff factory contributor in the band?
Travis.
I guess, yeah, Travis.
Fabby.
Factory over
Riff,
here.
riff God.
Travis, do you want to talk about just like the process of how a Playtime song like comes together, start to finish?
Well, I feel like the fun never ends. Specifically, I feel like I don't really remember all that much about my mindset like then because we recorded it so long ago, and I feel like we all have like came through so many realizations of like what we feel about music in the band like since then. Especially me, I know for sure because I remember even one day like I called Obi, I was like, bro, like I don't even know if I want to drop this anymore. Like I don't even
Yeah.
feel the same.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
but now I feel like actually it hasn't really changed that much because like looking back at it, like it like not like the actual ideology has changed, like maybe just like what I've learned on guitar because I haven't even been playing guitar for that long. So it's like anytime like I learn something that I want, like I feel like is cool. Usually like my like thought process is like, okay, like I think this is cool. Like how do I make it like not predictable, or how do I make it like feel like like how do I like contribute something like to this art form besides just like writing something that somebody else has like written already before, like how do I like emulate the same feeling of like this like style of like OG like hardcore, but have like try to bring something like a little bit futuristic like to the table, or like different, or just like mean something like else, you know. At least that's my thought process now,
Yeah.
because I definitely feel like probably with like the new stuff that we write is gonna be is definitely gonna still like encase that concept of having like all these different influences and being like this like postmodern like futuristic thing, but like still like have like some of like still like grounded in that like style of like hardcore like heavy like OG Playtime demo sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in just like hardcore is like not necessarily a genre, it's kind of like a feeling. Like there
definitely
are
feeling. Yeah,
there's
Mhm.
like metalcore bands that are more hardcore than metal. So like,
yeah,
you know, I'm not
yeah.
one to like start a beef with people in the comments about like how to actually characterize like a hardcore band, but
Yeah,
I think there's a spirit, and I know that sounds
yeah.
cheesy, but it's definitely something you can feel versus it,
But
you know,
that's kind of
rage.
why I think like I honestly think that like the like philosophy of playtime is kind of like I don't want to necessarily say it's transcendent of hardcore, but I feel like it doesn't even really like belong in like that like genre because it like I feel like hardcore and punk like the genres are like related to specific sound, but the actual movement and the revolution like come from like just like reactionary ideologies like and concepts like of like previous like stressors, you know, because like people started making punk because they're like all this other music that people are trying to tell us how to make and how to act is like is not it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have the same like you have like people in hardcore bands and punk bands now, and like we're like punk, like we're like real punk, we're real hardcore, blah blah. But it's like just only specific to the sound and to the
Yeah.
aesthetic, and it's not like
Mhm.
the actual like content of that revolutionary practice. You know, and I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one major thing is that, or the one major like thought process that I go through like on a daily basis is how do I live my life like continuously like thinking and understanding and evolving.
Uh,
So like
I
with
don't know.
that, it's
Live
like I
like
just
real punk. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
wait, what did you say?
Can I be actual punk?
Yeah, actual punk, like Avril Lavigne said.
That was it for a minute because I
Talking
mean,
shit.
Playtime didn't play like hardcore gigs or punk gigs. Like you definitely get support from the scene in Atlanta and the South, like big ups. But like it was a minute where we were like all of our other bands that were like not just getting gigs or just playing, but people were like, Playtime isn't hardcore or like punk. But like in the essence of us creating the band and like a reactionary type feeling of like, all right, we're gonna do this in spite of probably people not wanting us to do this, and especially the shit like Obi saying, and like you have like white kids moshing to it. It's just like, all right, do you hear what Obi's saying to this song? Like, you know, it's in this
Yeah,
sense. At the end of the gig, we stopped getting, I feel like, as much like punk or hardcore shows because it's like so many people just didn't feel like we were that label. It's just like
which is
once
straight
again,
as
it's the
fuck.
attitude. It's just so it was whack. So it's like now we're like, oh, we're transcending hardcore. Like, no, all of us love this shit. Like, we still listen to
Yeah,
it. We still go to shows. Like, we're not, you know what I'm saying, ditching the scene, none of that shit. It's just like the music that we're creating now. It's just like we stop, you know, like I don't think we're hardcore. Okay, we're just gonna continue making music. As Obi said, he's gonna drop shit anyway in his lyrics. So it's like whatever you feel like the energy is coming from the music, it might not be that label of hardcore, but once again, Playtime's gonna keep making what we're making.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's a, you know, there's so many bands that have had those like struggles with being like, oh, you're not, you know, this, and putting it in a box, and you're like, fuck your box. I'm gonna, you know, be as broad and as creative as I want to be. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yo, and
yeah,
yeah, and that's the thing. I've noticed that like a lot of the bands that come out of hardcore that end up like doing this like long term and are like able to like grow their band more are the bands that like aren't necessarily like they're not traditional, and it's like it's always the bands that are like that everyone's kind of split on, like like example like Code Orange, like Vane, like Turnstile, all those bands. It's like they're not really like doing like what everyone else is doing, and it's
shout
like
out From with
you're
the
gonna hate
body.
it, you're gonna like it, but like I've noticed that like I and not that like we're trying to like do like what they're doing at all, but like what I think I really like love about those bands, take what I kind of take from them, not like music wise, but just mentality wise, is just to be like not to like just put yourself in a box and just be as creative as possible, and like take your ideas and just expand on them and see how far you can go with it. And like that's one thing I really like. That's the thing. That's one thing I really like. Respect about like bands that do that, because I'm because I know if we were just doing like the traditional route, like it wouldn't be as fun to me. Like that's why like I have so much fun doing this. Why I enjoy doing this, because like we don't have to like do we don't have to do like a specific thing, and and we're not like, and that's the thing I always wonder, like, because we don't, because one, we're not like a big band, and we're not like on any type of label. There's no one like in our ear like saying like do this or do that, and it's like, and it's just us. And so while we're at the level that we are, because I know it's like a lot of bands come to this realization like way later on, but with us it's a little different. We're kind of just doing it. We were kind of just way from the jump, and because like why not? Like there's no reason for us to not just do whatever we want. Like there's literally no reason for us not to, because especially like in the beginning, because there was no eyes on us, no ears on us, nothing. Like so like at this very moment where there's not like there is, it's getting there now, but like while it's not like fucking, while there's like little to no pressure at all, why would we not like try to like you know just create as much shit as possible and just see what works.
Experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Experiment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Most of the bands that people are like, flippy floppy on, like you said, Code Orange, Turnstile, like Knocked Loose. A lot of those bands are making a good amount of money. As far as a lot of people fucking with that band.
Let me clarify. Like, I'm definitely not on some. I'm definitely not on some like, oh, I want to like get big, do this or do that, whatever. Like that's definitely like not what I mean. But I do notice that. But I mean, this is definitely something I would like to do for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that's not even why like we're trying to do all that. It's from like I think I just so happen to like kind of like share similar sentiments as those bands may share when it comes to making art. That's what I do. Like with whether it's this band, whether it's like other shit I do, like I don't know, and just me as a person in general, like speaking for myself, like I'm very fucking all over the place.
Right.
So I think like when putting my ideas like into this band, like that's another thing that kind of contributes to that, just how sporadic like I can be, and that. So it's definitely not on some like we want to create, like we want to be like different just to fucking get big. It's more so, and it's not even like, and that's the thing, we didn't even really go into this trying to do that. Like Travis said, we were literally like the idea for this band from like when we first started, we were trying to do some like heavy shit, like fucking like Hatebreed style shit, kind of like what Zulu's doing right now type shit.
Yeah.
To do like at the beginning, it just kind of like with just the way that we all are, and just like with the way our interests are, it just kind of turned into this. And I was like, fuck it, like let's just keep going with that because it's fun. And I feel like it wouldn't be as fun if we had done it like if we had done just the same thing. It's like if we were to go into like the next record being like, oh, how do we make this heavier than like the last one? Like I don't think it would be as fun, So
no, I agree, and yeah, I wasn't trying. Like every band has their like crazy ambition, and then I think like speaking for myself, I think some of the earlier bands I was in, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a touring musician. I'm gonna do all this shit, and then after a while, it's like I'd be cool if like someone like paid gas for me to drive to a show. That would be cool. But yeah, like I think everyone has different ambitious levels, but I don't think there's anything wrong to be like, if it paid for itself, that would be sick. But yeah, the art that you're mentioning is more just like a fulfilling thing as far as like, creating stuff that you're actually proud of versus like, I think people will mosh to this.
Most deaf. And it's like, yeah, and like with this band, it's like I do believe, like I said, I really believe in what we're doing. I believe it has the potential to like to go really, really far. Like I truly believe that. But but I want to make it clear that that's not the sole reason we do it. However, I do believe that like we can possibly get there as well.
Yeah, I feel that. I had a couple other questions here, and then we'll start to wrap it up. Obviously, like call it the trendiness of the Black Lives Matter movement has, definitely, I guess, like kind of declined as far as like being posted everywhere on social media. And I guess that depends on who you're following. If you're following a number of different activists, like I'm sure you're getting a lot more than if you're only following a couple of people who are kind of, forwarding the messages along. But obviously, we're kind of all still in the thick of the protests. Like a lot of stuff is happening in like Portland right now with literally the citizens versus the government. So I guess I wanted to kind of ask an open question for anyone to answer, and maybe we can get a couple different answers and perspectives. But what is, I guess, the most crucial thing that you guys think that people need to know about keeping the foot on the gas with this whole thing? Because a lot of people are being like, sharing stuff like Black Lives Still Matter, despite if you're going to like the beach or going on vacation or whatever. So Ross, how about I'll pick you to go first.
All right. I would say like just the end of like performative politics, first of all, just like if we could just have real honest conversations with not just our white homies, but just, like there's no more time and energy spent that we can, continuously as we make music, as we talk to white people, as we talk to people, not just white people, because, you got to understand Black people are not a monolith. There's people in our family and not just Republicans or just like the external thing of just like who we're really, really fighting against is definitely bigger than race one. But of course, Black Lives Matter, and we're going to make it about race right now. But it's about the performative politics shit, man. It's just like the squares and just all that shit. It's just like, I really need my white homies to just go talk to all of their family voting for Trump. I just need them just like, at this point, it's not like, just like reparations, just like literally if you see Black people in need, you see queer people in need, trans people in need, throw the dollars, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you got to really start just looking at this shit as about like, all right, I'm not looking for politicians to change this shit right now, but I'm looking to the communities I'm in. So if you're in my community, let's pull together and like make this shit happen. That's it for me.
Yeah. No, that's really great. Anybody else want to add to that or have another point that they want to share?
Yeah, I mean, wait, someone else gonna say something?
Now you go, because I'm still trying to like process like how I want to
Okay.
word it.
I mean, yeah, I feel like what's made me, I mean, like, of course, like I feel like we've all had like an influx of information and all of these like what to do, what not to do, and then like also like conflicting opinions, and it's hard to know what to actually like pay attention to or how to act. I'm sure as like a white person, I'm sure it's confusing in that way, but really I feel like you shouldn't be thinking about it, or not you. I mean literally just like white people. But you shouldn't be thinking about it that hard. I feel like the point is for it to be like not performative. You shouldn't have to prove you're not you shouldn't have to prove you're anti-racism. It should be something that you just add into your daily life. It is like a daily thing. It's a thing that you can do in small and big ways, but not in a way where you're trying to show like, hey everyone, I'm not racist. And that's not necessary because people can see through that, and that's what's uncomfortable about it. And like it's just all the small things, and then also the big things. But I mean literally talking to people who will listen to you versus me, and listening to me when, or other Black people when they're there, like when Black people are there to speak for themselves, let them speak, and if they're not, that's where you come in. And it's not a thing where you need to prove to anyone how you feel it should show. It's something that you act on, not say, or there's not any grand way of doing it.
Yeah, no, I think that's worded really well, and that's something that I've taken upon myself is like I'm not just going to be doing episodes to talk about this, just in that like 3 to 4 month window. Like this is stuff that I want to talk about in like a year's time, 5 years time, and just like because if we don't keep the conversation going, that's where we'll like lose our sharpness as far as being aware of when things come our way of like, oh, that is racist, or like maybe I shouldn't post that black square on Instagram. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like, imagine if you've if you've lived a certain way your whole life, you're never going to know exactly what things your exactly all the small ways your beliefs are held up in. And like it is small things, and if you are coming from a different perception, you're not going to be able to see that. So you need it's really and it's about longevity. It's about being able to do this for the rest of your life, and like having these trying to make grand gestures can be exhausting for anyone, and make it harder to do for longer than just like that week that you decided to do it.
Word. No, that's great. I really appreciate laying it out so plainly that way.
Yeah.
Travis, how about you go next? Or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but anyone who wants to go next, I guess.
No, it's straight. But I think like it does get really confusing, I feel like, for white allies, because I feel like especially like on the internet, like people are constantly like looking for specific answers. And it's like I feel like just like time and society is like so nuanced that there can never be like one specific answer to solve anything. And like I feel like the only thing that's like constant like in life is that there is nuance. There is like ever changing, like I feel like I've said that to men a bunch of times. But
No, I
there is
know.
like
That's the only reason why I laughed. But nuance for sure. It's all
there
about
is
nuances.
I feel like things are like always like just like changing so much, and like everyone has their own experience like with how they live, like so I feel like the main thing that people really should just be like worried about is just like the constant like practice of like listening and understanding.
Yeah, and I think that
And
there's.
also,
Oh, sorry, I cut you off there.
no, it's fine. I was literally about to just start rambling.
I was just gonna say, like, this idea that like we as people, no matter, like, I'm 27. I'm not sure the ages of everyone in the band, but this idea that we have to be so politically and like figured out by that age. Like, I think that's just a constant climb of like always learning new things and applying that to your daily lives. Um, and yeah, for sure. Like, no, like I think it's ridiculous to expect everyone just to be like as soon as you graduate high school, or like there's even people who are talking about this who are in high school still, and it's like my mindset when I was 18 years old on how I thought certain things in the world are to this very moment is like a night and day difference for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
gonna happen.
really it's like also like it's like, yeah, like what Travis is saying, like really it's nothing's black and white, and the point is we don't have the answers, but no one should act like they do, and everyone should listen to people who have the most experience in those things, and that's the point. But like, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Everybody loses in racism. That's what you're really saying. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
everybody, like, once white people learn that they're just like, damn, I don't benefit from being
Yeah.
like this. Just like everybody kind of like, we all have a learning to do. You know what I'm saying? Either as if you're a cis male, like, or if you're, like if you're very wealthy. Everybody has a learning to do, no matter where you're at in the scale.
Oh,
That's
yeah, no, yeah, I remember now.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna use an example. Um, it's kind of like how, I guess, like in my experience, and I mean, really, all of us experience this, but I feel like one uncomfortable thing that even with my friends, we're all like pretty politically active, and socially aware people and like try to be like we've been interested in these things way before this has happened. And but even in those spaces there's new information to be assessed, and just like the just like with like looking at your friend group and being like how many black people are in your friend group or how many people of color are in your friend group, whereas that's not your fault, but that's something that we all we're in this, and like we didn't even have time to like pay attention to why that has happened, you know? It's not like you naturally create your friend groups, but you know, if most of your friends are white, why is that happening, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not on accident either, but it's not your fault. It's the system.
Yeah. No, that's a huge point because I like sitting here, I went to an all private Christian school growing up, K to 12,
Mhm.
and like there was one black dude in my class. And
Yeah.
like growing up, it was almost like I was like that's not normal for sure, but I don't know why that is. And it's
Mhm.
definitely been only over the last few years of like, oh, like I understand how like, the system is like oppressing these people so they don't have the ability to maybe send their kids to that level of an education. But yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
it's for
Yeah,
sure
it's
like
there's so many layers to it, and it's not sometimes, I mean, it's partially cuz like with friendships, it's like there's like the structure that society gives us, but then it's the structure that we hold on to, and like what what we find funny, and like our interests, and like how we connect to people, and like that can um facilitate like, you know, not having as many minorities in your group, or like people of color, not minorities, but yeah, it's just like all these little things that create this like huge problem.
yeah.
I don't want to like um going. I kind of want to like say like going off of your initial question and just say like basically like going off of like what everyone just said and just from your initial question in general, like there's really no like one answer to that because like y'all just said, like it's so everything is it's nothing is black and white and everything is so ever changing. And with we we are always learning, like everyone we're all like everyone is there's always like some. I feel like if you grew up a certain pretty much for everybody, like everyone in this world, there's always something new to learn, and there's always you can always do your activism can always be better. Like um for me personally, I know it's like I don't like to put myself on a pedestal of being like an activist or being super woke and knowing this or that, because it's like because I don't know everything. I'm really like I'm learning along just with everyone else. So like but when it comes to like the Black Lives Matter, like, or just I don't know, the experience of black people in general, I can only ever like just talk about the shit that I personally gone through, and like I can only ever speak for myself when it comes to talking about that. and and like you said, like Ross said, like black people are just so what's the word? I forgot the word I'm looking for. But we're not one thing. Like
Yeah.
Monolith.
Yeah,
Monolith.
Monolith. I say that specifically because like being African American, we have band members, you know what I'm saying, with you know what I'm saying, like African lineage, and just like understanding like there's two different experiences of just like having African parents versus having African American parents. There's two different so many different experiences of just like
Yeah.
a blackness that we speak about, and we had to come together and be like, oh, okay, well, like we're not all the same. Like that's something we're realizing as black people. So it's just like if we're doing that in group discussions, we need white people and all other, you know what I'm saying, to follow that. Not just band, just for your friend groups, any community, just to pull together and kind of have those discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I feel
like
like this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go.
I feel like this, like, especially for like America, it was built and it functions off of racism. So we just need to like continue to have the conversations and be willing to admit that like sometimes you could be wrong about things. You could be told wrong information. I mean, it was taught in our schools. It's perpetuated in media. Like it's something that it's gonna continue to be something that we have to keep on like talking about and fighting for, and it's not gonna end anytime soon. But to continue to just like keep pushing for it, I feel like that's something that like we just can't stop doing, like as a whole for everyone. Basically, like it's cool to see the whole world. Like I guess it is a trend though right now, but hopefully like we could just continue to keep pushing for it.
Yeah, that's great, and I appreciate. I like that everyone had a chance to kind of send us off on the right footing there. So first off, thank you everyone in this call for doing this podcast with me. Definitely go listen to Playtime, the new EP.
Can we do shout outs? Can we shout some folks out?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, we
I
lost
didn't mean
someone.
to interrupt you. Yeah, my bad.
Oh.
I didn't mean to interrupt anybody.
Oh,
Anybody
that's all
else
good. I think Obi just left the call.
Oh, damn.
What? He got disconnected.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for him to come in. But
Yeah. All right, hold up.
Yeah.
He just texted us.
Done.
He was like, "No, we're
It's
not
like,
done yet." That's the fun thing with these podcasts. Like half of this stuff I never cut out because it's just too funny to
That's
just
real.
to keep it in.
That's real.
Obviously, I'll just I'll fill some time here. The new EP, "The Fun Never Ends," is just a couple of days ago is now available to be streamed on Spotify and Apple Music, and Bandcamp as well. If people are OGs like that. As far as and please go follow them at Playtime. Is it hardcore? Playtime.dotcom, and remember the extra Y in Playtime. Maybe we will just wait to get Obi back in here. This has never happened on the podcast. Someone just jumped out. I'm like, did you?
How did he? He's not answering. What happened to him?
Oh, maybe his like phone
He
died.
meant-
His phone might have died. We can wrap it up. I mean, I don't think
Feds got him.
Oh, he was on his laptop though.
That's funny.
Oh,
Feds
So maybe
got
the
him.
laptop died.
maybe.
Huh? I don't know what to do here.
Maybe let's just wrap it up.
Let's wrap
Okay.
it up.
Let's just do shout outs.
Maybe
Alright.
something happened.
Well, I don't know where I'm gonna cut in here, but I guess Obi. Oh, iPhone has entered the room.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he may.
Hey.
Hey. Damn, the
Yeah.
iPhone
He's like
being crazy.
frantically trying to connect the audio.
The iPhone being
Turn
There
it
you
on
go.
sideways.
Did your laptop die?
Oh, my Wi-Fi like just went out of nowhere.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
like
he on
trying to
his
fill the
data.
time, or like, should we wrap it up without him? Like, we'll plug his social still, but
Ain't not happening.
yeah.
Glad
Well,
you back, man.
Anyways, thank you everyone in Playtime for coming on the podcast with me and sharing your perspectives and just like your insights. I really hope that the people that are listening and watching took as much that I took away from this interview. So thank you all. Let's do some shout outs, some handles if you want to tag your Instagram or whatever. Ross, you're next to me on my screen, so how about you go first?
All right, yo. Shout out Jalen for recording. Shout out Buggin. Shout out Show Me the Body, everybody in Corpus, the whole family. Shout out everybody in Atlanta that's really been fucking with the music. I sell like black items and boutique like type items at Glassload on Instagram, GLASSLOAD. So like vintage items, all black designers, shit like that. Shout out everybody in the scene that's been supporting us. Big up Kendall. Shout out Lava House. Love Atlanta. Thank y'all.
As far Travis, you go next. You're under Ross there.
Ross really just said all of it.
Yeah, he said all of it. Okay.
He took all the
I
shout
was like,
outs.
yo, shouts out. I was ready for shouts. I'm a DJ, bro. You don't shout
Yeah.
out. Okay. Shout to my people, bro.
Shout out to Siberia. Shout out to
Facts.
Crime Watch. Shout out to New York.
Shout out to New York.
Big up New York State.
Shout out to my mom.
My
Shout out
mom
my
and
mom.
dad upstate New York
Mama,
right
I
now.
hope she's watching.
Shout out Amber Nicole.
Yeah,
Uh,
Amber.
yeah. Shout out to the COVID testing locations.
COVID testing
Yeah.
location.
Big ups to COVID. Yeah.
Thank
Big ups to the
you.
test.
Honestly,
Respect,
big
yeah.
up.
Big ups.
Awesome. Any other shout outs before we say goodbye?
I'll go.
What?
Shout out to it was Jalen's birthday about yesterday, so happy birthday, Jalen.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Shout out Symbiote.
Yo, Kibi King,
PB Games.
Upchug,
Shout out at Frankincense on IG.
Yes.
Shout out Corey Zico.
shout out to Gouge Away.
Yeah, shout out to Swap Meet DJ
Oh,
from Alabama.
Okay, Ryan,
Yeah, big up Swap Meet. Hell yeah, big up Evan. Shout out to Birmingham.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
fuck with us. Birmingham.
Yeah,
Shout
Calla,
out to
Birmingham.
Shout to Cal.
Shout out, this is going mad long. We gotta go.
Yeah,
I
bad
know, we
example
gotta get out of
from
They
Birmingham
should
too.
have prepared.
They're having an album out soon.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Shout out Playtime, new album coming soon.
Yeah.
True.
Hell yeah.
New swag on the way.
Very
Big Playtime
excited
swag.
for any new Playtime coming up, and I'm sure with COVID in the mix, that might come sooner than later, because that's really the only thing bands are doing these days. So awesome! Thank you once again. Go listen to The Fun Never Ends on all streaming platforms, and thank you guys all for your time today.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Shout out Rosalia and Carter too for making those videos.
Oh, yeah.
Facts.
All right, that's it.